The median price of homes here in Boise is now $530,500, and that's a $10,000 drop as compared to last month, July of 2021. But what does all of this mean? I've had a ton of people ask me this question, so what I decided to do is take the statistics from this past month and compare them with all of the numbers from the past 9 years of the Boise housing market in order to see what we're actually experiencing and to see if we can put these numbers into their proper context. Now, the first thing to notice is that this is not the first time that we've seen a decrease in the median. Back in February of 2021, the median price dropped from $454,000 down to $452,400. So that's about a $1,600 drop in the median. But what happened over the next 2 months is what is fascinating. The median then took off and increased $70,000 over the next 2 months. So that by May of this year, the median was over $500,000, it was at $523,250. So a drop in the median does not necessarily mean that we're seeing a cooling down of the market. Now, having said this, I do think that there are some other indications in the numbers that just came out that might suggest that we're nearing a plateau or a cooling down in the Boise housing market. Now, first, it's important to remember that our prices here are being driven by a low supply and a high demand. With that in mind, I think the important numbers to pay attention to are the numbers relating to the inventory that we have in this market. So if you've seen any of my videos or paid attention to the market at all, you know that we are experiencing an incredibly low number of supply. So just look at this number here. In June of 2021, for example, there were 729 homes available on the market. Now compare that number to June of 2020, and you'll see that there is a 25% decrease in the supply available as compared to June of 2020. But back in June of 2020, there was 44% less inventory as compared to June of 2019. So if you compare the amount of inventory available in June of this year to what was available in June of 2019, you'll see that there's about 1,000 homes less available, and this low inventory is something that we've been seeing month after month after month for the past several years. Back in May of this year, there was 570 homes available. That's 54% less than what was available back in May of 2020, where there was about 1,200 homes, and you compare that to May of 2019, there's 1,500 homes. Same thing in March, about 78% less as compared to March of 2020 and March of 2019. So look at these numbers here. All of these numbers, we're seeing 60, 70, 78%, 75% less inventory almost this whole year as compared to what we had last year. But then look at this number. In July of 2021, we suddenly had a boost in inventory, and suddenly we had 42% more homes available than we had back in July of 2020. And then that same trend continued into August of this year. August, we saw at the end of August, we had 1,124 homes available. And that is compared to August of 2020 when there was only 589 homes available. Now that's an increase of 90%. So what those numbers are saying is that over the past 2 months, we've seen a lot larger number of homes available for purchase. Now, because our market is driven by supply and demand, if you increase the amount of supply, that hopefully will taper off the price increases, and it should chill the market just a bit. But we're still not to where we should be as far as the inventory is concerned. Look at some of these numbers from several years ago. Back in June of 2019, we had about 1,700 homes available for purchase, 1,500 homes the month before that, 1,500 homes before that, 1,800, 1,600. So really, in order to have a more properly balanced market, we should have anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 homes available for purchase. We're not quite to that number yet, but it's definitely a huge increase from what we saw back in March, where we had 295 homes available on the market. Record low number of inventory, which is why we saw the increase in the median that we saw over the past several months. So before I continue, if you like this video, would you hit that thumbs up button for me? That'll let YouTube know that there's people that are actually liking this video. Now, I think the numbers in Boise parallel what we're seeing in the rest of the United States. According to one study, for example, In August, about 59% of offers on homes in the US faced competition or had multiple offers on them. And that's a record low since 2020. More sellers are also making price adjustments in their listings on their homes. About 17% of sellers in the US made a price adjustment, and that's the most that we've seen in 21 months. We're seeing more listings across the United States, about 5.1% more across the 50 largest housing markets, and we saw about 1.8% less closings in July as compared to June, which is the second consecutive month that we've seen a decline in closings across the United States. Now, these numbers seem to line up with what I've been seeing in the market for the past several months. I'm definitely seeing many more price drops, many more in the past couple months than I've seen over the past year and a half or so. Houses are definitely sitting on the market for longer, and there's definitely less competition. In the last deal, for example, that I worked on for my clients, there was only one other competing offer, and my clients ended up getting the place, and they only paid $7,000 over the list price, which is way better than I was seeing back in March or April. They're in about $680,000 range, and back in March or April, people were going $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over the list price. And according to the latest statistics here in Ada County, about 42% of the homes sold for more than list price, and on average, they went for about $22,000 over asking. Now, I really hope that that's the case. I hope things are cooling down because the market has just been crazy over the past year or so. Just look at the median price from 8 years ago. Back in June of 2013, the median in Ada County was hovering at about $200,000, and it took 5 years for it to go from $200,000 to $300,000. And then from there, it took 2 years for it to go from $300,000 to $400,000. So we broke $400,000 in August of 2020. And then it took 1 year, less than 1 year, for it to go from $400,000 to $500,000. So from August of 2020 to May of 2021, the median went up $100,000. So I hope we're seeing a cooling down on the market. Hope we're hitting a bit of a plateau. I mean, prices can't just continue to increase exponentially for the next 30 years. At some point, they have to level off. So I'm hoping we're nearing that point. I think time will only tell. I do think that it is important to remember that we still are experiencing an inventory shortage all across the United States, not just here in Boise. America is short about 5.24 million homes across the board, and that's an increase of 1.4 million since 2019. The same thing is true in Boise. We're still experiencing a shortage in homes, so there's no easy fix, but I do hope that the increase in inventory over the past several months means that we are headed towards some slower growth.